What's up, guys? I'm Chris Fowler. Welcome to Chris Fowler Racing. So today I have something pretty special for you guys. This is the TR160, Trak Racer TR160. This is the complete build and setup video. So stay tuned. I want to show you step by step how to build this sucker. There's a few caveats that I mentioned in the video. But yeah, this is the completed rig, and we are going to show you how to build this today. So stay tuned.
Okay, so as you can see here, we have everything laid out. I got everything sorted out between bolts and nuts and screws and all the pieces. I put all the bolts and T-nuts, everything in different bags, so that will be all set to go. You can see I got stuff ready for step one already, which is the feet. But yeah, so this is what I did to prepare the build. In the next segment, we'll start with step one.
Alright, so step one is the feet. So we have 4 of these brackets here. So we're going to use 4 of these. We got the M8 25 millimeters bolts. We're going to need 8 T-nuts. And then of course 8 washers. And that's it. So we'll put 2 T-nuts at each end. And we'll test the legs. And then of course we have the feet. Those, we have the feet here. We'll put those on. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna fast forward through this so you don't have to watch me. It took me about 15 or so minutes to get these in, so I'm just gonna fast forward this video a little bit. I did use 8 T-nuts, 2 per each leg. I did put the legs about 1 inch inside the chassis, inside the rails. That's obviously up for you to decide where you want to put it. I felt like the 1 inch was a good balance for the entire chassis. You can put it at the edge or you can put a couple inches in. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with. These are pretty simple. This is probably the easiest part of the install. Um, I would also, I show in this video, I put the actual legs, screw the legs in, but it's best to avoid those for now. You got to put a middle rail in these panels, and it's easier with it sitting on the floor instead of sitting a couple inches off the ground. And you'll see that in the coming segments. But yeah, so I'm almost done with these legs, and then we'll move on to putting the side panel that connects them, or the internal panel that connects these two together. But this is pretty simple. So the T-nuts slide right in, and then I just want to get the legs as straight as you can to the rails, and that's it. Uh, the step is kind of the easiest step of the whole build, so enjoy this step while you can.
Okay, so step 4. So I misguided on the steps in the previous segment. So step 1 was actually putting those red plastic strips in here. I'm going to leave those out. No need for it. I'm putting green LED lights around the bottom, so no red. But if you want to do those, you'd have to do those in step 1. You can. It comes with several pieces. They just fit right in here, in the edges here. Those will be easy. And then of course step 2 was putting the foot brackets on. Step 3 was putting in the legs. And step 4 is adding the first bracket. Now, I took out the legs just so this would be even and level on the floor, make it a little bit easier to get the profiles into the segments. So step 4, we're going to need 16 T-nuts, 8 brackets, and then 16 lock nuts, 16 washers, and 16 M8 16 millimeters. I believe that's what these are. These are the small bolts. We should have an entire bag full of those. So you use those in these. So we're going to get that started. We need to slide in some T-nuts. We're going to put the top slot, the bottom slot on each all the way around. So it'll be a total of 16 all the way around here. So we're going to get doing that. And
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward here again so you don't have to watch me build this. It was kind of tedious getting all these T-nuts in. Again, it's the top and bottom rails all the way around. So it's going to be a total of 16. You will use the 16 M8 16 millimeter bolts. These are the very short bolts. You should have a huge bag full of these bolts. Lock washers the lock nuts and regular washers. Now, these bolts are a little short, so if you don't want to use the washer or don't use the lock washer, that's perfectly fine. I think some people have not used anything at all. I do believe I have at least the lock nut in there. But with the short bolts, it is kind of difficult with the width of the bracket and everything to get everything right in. But you just play with it and it'll get in. I also used my phone as a flashlight because it's a little difficult to see how the holes lined up in the brackets. The corner brackets, there's a little tab on them. You're going to use a flathead screwdriver and just pop those off. That way they will sit flat to the profile. But yeah, that's about it. It wasn't too bad. A little tedious. Just a lot of sliding in the T-nuts and getting these corner brackets in was a little difficult. Remember to leave the nuts loose so that you can move it around to make sure it's in the right spot. You also want to move it around so that have movement, so when you put the seat rails on, you can get that flush the way it needs to be. But yeah, so this is the middle rail, um, and then we'll finish this video off and we'll head on to the next step.
Okay, so that's step 4. Tedious, not difficult, but tedious. So it's loose, so we can move it so we get to the seat sliders and everything. When we get to the seat brackets, we can move this to where it needs to be, and then we'll tighten all the bolts down. But it's on. And we're ready to go to the next step. That was step 4, putting this center bracket in. So we're ready to go on to the next step. So step 5 is putting this back plate on. We'll need 16 M25s and 16 lock washers. If you want to put the Trak Racer logo, now's the time to do that. I have it over here. It's this guy. It would just slide in the back before you put all the things on. I'm not using it. Just going to keep it all black. No red accents, no nothing on it.
Okay, so I actually didn't get to complete this step. I used M8 20mm bolts. I only used 8 bolts, 4 per each side. I didn't have the M8 25s. The Trak Racer didn't supply them in my boxes, so I had to get with Trak Racer and get those sent. So just showing you what I was doing here, but it's really simple to get these in. It's 16 bolts, 8 on each side. It goes through the corner bracket. It's a pretty simple step. You just need to get the right screws. You could use 20s if you're not doing motion. If you're doing motion, I would recommend going with the 25mm bolts.
Okay, so I skipped a few parts in building this. I didn't have all the parts, so I'm waiting on Trak Racer to send me some parts. So I'm supposed to be using M8 25s, and I went out and bought some. And see, these guys, the heads are just too big to fit through here and get them in here, and get 2 of them in here. You can get one in, but if you get the other one, it's curved and bent, and it's a pain. So those won't work that I went out and bought at the hardware store, so I'm waiting for Trak Racer to send me some. So I went ahead and used the M8 20s that came with the set. They will be needed to use somewhere else, but I just put a couple in the top and the bottom until I get the other ones. I'll put those 2 in here, and then I'll take these out and put the other ones in, just so I can get it together. And I messed with the, you see I finally got the seat in, so I decided not to put it on top of the brackets, but to put it inside the brackets, so that if I ever decide to go motion or do anything, the seat's lower. Plus I think it looks better with it lower. And it was sitting way too high with the brackets on top of the base, so I did it inside. It was a lot of work. I had to take it apart multiple times to get all the T-nuts and get everything in the way I wanted it. I'll show you that here, so you guys can see that. It wasn't too difficult. It was a pain, but we got it in. And so the seat's in, everything's in here. So we're ready to move on to the next step and get moving. The seat slider works. In the front here, so you can see this. Excuse me. We got the seat slider in here. You can't see it here, but I used a corner bracket here. I used 4 corner brackets. I have T-nuts in to put more, another 4 corner brackets. I just don't have any. Of course, truckers don't supply those to do it this way, so they only supply it to put 2 on each. So if I ever go motion, I'll need to add more, but right now it's pretty sturdy the way it is. But if I wanted to do motion, then I'd probably need to add those other corner brackets to get these fully supported. But yeah, that's see, that's the rig. It's up and working. The seat's in place. Everything is ready to move on to the next step. So the next step will be adding the steering columns, and we'll do that next.
Okay, so I'm bringing this picture up. I wanted to show and talk a little bit more about the seat brackets. I feel really bad that I didn't get to video the install of these seat brackets because I know a lot of people had questions about this. I was frustrated that I didn't have all the parts I needed in the box. My boxes were pretty much ripped to shreds in shipping. All 4 corners were broken open and ripped apart. The bags were ripped open in shipping, and the parts were just leaking out everywhere. Literally, when I picked it up out of my driveway, parts were falling out. So I lost a lot of parts in shipping, so I had to wait for a bunch of stuff to come from Trak Racer to get this stuff completed. But I wanted to show you, now this picture is obviously after fully completed, just going through editing this video now. I wanted to get this picture up for you guys, so I do have some green LED lights underneath that you can see here. But again, the seat bracket I did keep lower, so it's flush with the profile. I used 4 corner brackets. Now you can see I have T-nuts in here to add an extra corner bracket for support. So if I ever wanted to go motion, I would do that. But for now, as stationary as it is, it's fine. It's super sturdy. Now the brackets, it's pretty straightforward getting these in. You just well, I guess I'll start with the rails. I put them all the way to the end, basically. That's pretty much where you're going to have to be anyway, all the way to flush with the corner brackets for the side panels. So you get as far over to the side as possible, and then that's the good width for the seat. There's no instructions to tell you that or how far apart, but basically the profiles that the rails sit on, just go all the way out to the sides as far as they can, and they'll sit flush with the corner brackets that are on the side uh, that we use for the back panel and the internal side bracket in there. But I'll show you the next picture with the handle and the slider on it, and we'll talk about how we did that. But this is it for here. Just those profiles are flush. You need the T-nuts and the brackets in there. Of course, Trak Racer did not supply corner brackets to do the install this way, so you will need to buy some extra corner brackets if you ever wanted to go motion to go this way. Otherwise, you can use the corner brackets that were provided, and that would be good enough to get the seat in this position. It just depends on what you like. If you like it lower, everybody says if you go motion, the lower is the better. You'll feel more of the motion, feel more of the race car going with the lower seat instead of really high. So I went ahead and left it lower. But I'll show you this next picture here in just a second, and we'll talk about the handle to get the seat slider to actually work. Okay, so this is the front where you see the lever is in place that you would use to slide the seat forward and backwards. So to get the rails on the profile, it's pretty straightforward. There's a little metal piece that you can push down and the rail will slide forward and backward. So you'll want to get your T-nuts in the profile, of course, and then get the bolts that are provided with the brackets. You'll slide the bracket all the way one end, get the bolt in. Don't get it totally tightened, just get it in place. That way you can move the seat slider back and forth if you need to move it to where you want it. I ended up having to move mine further back. I put it forward and ended up moving it further back. So anyway, once you get that first bolt in, just pull up that little metal clip on the side there of the bracket and pull the rail all the way back the other direction, and then put your bolt in that way, and then you'll have both bolts in, and then you do the other side the same way. Now the lever is definitely it's tricky, but it's not too difficult. It looks like it won't work, but what you'll need to do is at the ends of the lever, you're going to pull them apart so you spread them apart, and then what you want to do once you have the rails installed, and then you'll push those in rails inward, and put pressure so that once the lever is in place in the brackets, it'll have that tension there, so it'll sit. So you want to pull them apart enough, and then you want to squeeze them together to sit them between the rails, just so there's enough pressure. So once you get in the rail, those rails kind of spread out and go into uh, the little holes in the side for those to implant in, and then the lever will work. It's not too difficult. Like I said, you just pull it apart and then push it back in together and put it down there in the rails, and it'll spring out with the tension from you spreading them out some. So it's not too difficult. It definitely looks a little awkward at first, but it wasn't too bad. Once you get that tension in there, you'll understand how it works. And then what I'll do is I'll show you the seat brackets that I actually used for the seat, because I did not use the stock brackets. So I'll show you the picture for that next. Okay, so this is the seat mounted to the seat bracket. Now, as I said in the previous segment, I did not. I originally used the seat brackets that came with the Trak Racer, and after getting in it, it was just uncomfortable for my back. There was just not enough incline or recline to be able to push the seat back to make it comfortable. And I was using towels and everything I could back in to my lower back to get some support. So I ended up buying these brackets. These are the OMP HC922 bracket. You get it for $100 off of eBay. It's totally worth it. As you can see, you have much more options to put the seat. And I still have another hole to put more recline in the seat. I thought it was too much because I kind of use my rig for everything, NASCAR, open wheel, GT cars, and everything. So if you wanted to just do like Formula cars or GT cars, you could use that upper bracket and get more incline. But I just chose with the one down from that, but I do have the option to move up. But this is much more comfortable. I still use a little towel for lumbar support back there, but the seat is so much more comfortable in this manner. It's definitely something to invest into. Now I know after a lot of people have complained about the stock seat brackets that come with the Trak Racer is now designing a new seat bracket. I do believe they have it designed. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to come out yet, but they do have it. It has tons of holes and a tons of adjustability, so you can move your seat around. So hats off to Trak Racer for listening to their customers, listening to feedback, and moving forward to fix the issues that were with the original seat bracket. So thanks to Trak Racer, they're going to have that fixed, have a better seat bracket that will be similar to this HC922 with a lot of holes to recline the seat and put it in a position that you feel comfortable for you. Again, and that would save you $100 because I paid $100 for these OMP brackets. So that'll be nice once Trak Racer gets that done.
Okay, so the instructions are a little backwards here, so I'm going to try to help you out here. So step 8 is the mounting the seat. So we got the seat on, we're good. I had to move the rig to a different room because had to put it in the race room because it was getting too big. I wouldn't be able to move it into the room. So we went ahead and moved it. We're moving on to the next step. So step 8 was the seat. Step 9 is putting the motor bars on. I don't even know what you call it. The wheel mounts, the side bars to put them on. The problem with this is if you do this, then you're going to have to take them all off again to put the shifter mount bars on. So if you go to step 10, step 10 is putting these, you see these bars, the shifter bars on. So you need T-nuts for these. And it didn't tell you to do that in the step where you're putting the back base on. So you're going to have to do it in this step. If you put the driver mount, the bars on, then you're going to have to take them off to put the T-nuts on. So before you mount the driver profiles, the long profiles on step 9, be sure to put in T-nuts for the shifter mount bars, otherwise you have to pull it all off again. So that's my one tip for this between step 9 and step 10. Make sure you add the T-nuts in to go over here for your shifter mount bar, otherwise you'd have to pull off the motor mount bars that support the motor. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll put the T-nuts on, I'll put the motor mounts here, and then I'll show you what that looks like. I don't have enough room for a tripod to show you me building it, so I'll show you what I'm gonna do, and then I'll get it on, and then I'll show you what it looks like with it up. So we're gonna put the T-nuts in for everything, and then I'll show you what that looks like, and then we'll go ahead and mount the profiles, the side profiles, get those on. So we'll do that next. Okay, so you can see I got the T-nuts in for the shifter mount profile. So that'll be, this guy will mount there. And then down here, I have the T-nuts for the motor mount profiles that'll go here. So what you want to do is make sure you put these in, and you'll use these guys, little corner brackets that'll go on like this. And then you do it on each side. You don't want to make it somewhat loose because you're probably going to want to move it around until you get it in the right spot. So you don't want to tighten it completely because you will want to have to move it. It doesn't give you any measurements where to even start with the profile. So just kind of a guesstimate. So don't want to make them too tight. And then yeah, we'll go from there and see what we got. So I'm going to go ahead and mount the side profile up on each side, and then I'll show you what we got. So stay tuned. Okay, so we have the base in, the profiles for the steering mount. You can see it's kind of dark, but it took 16 T-nuts per profile. So you got 4 in this profile, and then 4 in this profile, and then 4 over here. So 8 on each side. So you got 32 total to get both sides up and running on the other side. It would be good if you had somebody to help you to hold it. That would make it a lot easier for you. But yeah, that's the profiles. The only thing I'm not sure of right now is the distance of how much we're going to need for the profile between here and the seat, and then here and the end. Make sure the steering wheel is not too close to us, but it's not too far away, and get it comfortable for me. We have the seat slider so others can get in the rig, but we really want to make it conform to me and my size, so we're going to have to maybe finagle this a little bit, hopefully not too much. But these are the bars. It wasn't too bad. Like I said, it's 32 T-nuts and bolts and lock washers, and that's it. So that's these guys. So next we're going to put on the I'll scroll around here, you guys can see this. Looks like here. I apologize for the mess. I had to move it to a different room because it was getting too big and I wouldn't be able to move it afterwards. So this is what it looks like for now. And of course there's my old rig over there. So we'll get that out of here and be putting this new one in pretty soon. But that's it. That's these profiles. So next will be the shifter mount arm, and I was just looking over it. I think what I'm going to end up doing is putting the mouse pad, because I bought a mouse pad and it has an extra arm, but I think once I get this part up, I want to have enough room over here to put the mouse pad at the end and still be able to put the shifters on it. So I think I'll just use this bar for the mouse pad as well. It came with an extra profile piece to put in here, a straight up piece to put there. I don't think I'm going to use it. I don't think I need it. So we're just going to mount this up now. We'll mount this guy here. It's going to take 2 corner brackets, and then this guy. Again, it's going to take 16 T-nuts, a lot of bolts to get this guy on, but we'll get that on, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're all done. So that's what we're going to do next, and that's the next step. So we'll see you then.
Okay, so you can see that we got the shifter mount arm in now. Of course, that was 16 T-nuts and bolts using the M8 16mm bolts. This is the entire finished shifter bracket. You can see I used 2 corner brackets here. And then another corner bracket to put the profiles together. And then, of course, you see the corner bracket for the mouse pad there that I put on top of the profile, so that fits. I also, the instructions say to put the profiles even, but as you can see, I put my profile on top of the the upright bar. This just puts the arm just a tad bit higher. It's just more comfortable this way. You can do it either way. If you wanted it lower, you could obviously move the upright bar out a little bit more and put the profiles even. But I did it this way instead, just to put it on top, just to get a little bit higher. You can see I have this DSD shifter. I was going to put this on, but I have elected not to. And instead have bought the Fanatec Clubsport shifter. That way I have an H pattern and a sequential. So that is mounted, and I can show a picture of that once all this is done. I basically used the SimLab shifter mount, specifically built for the Clubsport shifter. Um, but this is what it looks like. This is the finished product with the shifter arm, uh, all the products, and the mouse pad with the different quarter brackets and bolts. Again, these are the M8 16mm bolts. So you're going to need a lot of those, multiple corner brackets, and of course 16 T-nuts and bolts for the upright profile there to hold the shifter mount. But this is what it looked like when you're done.
Okay, so I'm missing some parts on the direct drive mount, so I went ahead and mounted the pedal plate instead. So it's kind of hard to see, but it takes 4. Get a flashlight here. You can see here it takes 4 of these handles here. Put this up here. These go in T-nuts, so you need 4 T-nuts here. These guys here, the 6 bolts, they only screw into this plate right here. Now the instructions say you're going to need 12 T-bolts for each side. These do not need T-bolts. They do, all they do is screw into this oval half-moon shaped plate. And the only thing that's holding this entire pedal plate onto the base are these 4 bolts here. And you can see that one's loose, but that's it. These are definitely a little bit difficult to turn because they kind of intermingle with each other here. But so that's the plate. Let's see it here. So the plate's on. It is solid. It's really solid. It's not moving. It's not budging. Not going to go anywhere. It can go up and down. You can adjust it up and down, so you can see I have some room here. The pedal plate can go up, and with these shapes here, it can lean forward, lean back, and do all kinds of crazy things. So you have a lot of adjustments with these. It's not easy to make those adjustments. It's not easy to move this or move it around. I had some trouble getting it to move, but I did get a little bit of an angle in there, and that's it. So you'll need 4 T-bolts, 4 T-nuts on each side, and then 2 on the other side as well, of course, over here. And the same thing, it's going to need 12 bolts, and those screw into the half-moon plate. It's not too bad. It is pretty heavy, so it always helps to have a second person, but I did this one on my own. So you can do it. It's not too bad. But that's it. That's the pedal plate. Not too much there. 14 nuts on each side, and they're handled by these bars, which I need to tighten this one, but that's it. That's the pedal plate. So I want to start mounting the pedals and get those on. Since I'm missing parts for the direct drive mount, I'll see if I can't find some parts out of the accessories and everything. See if I can't get this thing built as well. So we'll do that as well. So we'll go ahead and get the pedals on, and we'll go from. Okay, so I got the sprint pedals mounted. As you can see here, got them all on. They weren't easy to get on, but we got them. It comes with some very tiny bolts that go under here. It's hard to see, but let's see if I can get up there. You see those come with tiny bolts mounted on the metal plate. So we got them on. So I think the parts for the direct drive mount will be here today, according to FedEx. So hopefully that shows up. We can get this done. Right now I'm going to work on the keyboard tray. It's the new swivel keyboard tray, so we're going to go ahead and put that on. And then hopefully when we get close to getting that done, we will have the direct drive mount that we can put on. So that's our next step. You can see the rig is looking pretty good. I apologize for the mess. But we're getting closer and closer and closer. So this is it so far. Not much left to do. The direct drive mount, and then start getting stuff. We got the monitor mount we got to get together, but this video will just be about the rig for now. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and mount the keyboard swivel tray and then see how that goes. Okay, so I am doing this video after the fact, so the rig is complete. I got a little frustrated with missing some parts and trying to get the front direct drive mount completed, but so I want to go back and show you some of the things we missed. So this is the keyboard mount. This is the swivel keyboard mount. You can see how it's mounted in the profile here. It goes along here. You can see this goes in and out pretty easily. Also, you can turn the keyboard. It's hard with one hand, but it moves. It's also on a swivel, as you can see here. So it can move as well. But this is just a couple profile pieces. It wasn't much to get this on. It wasn't really difficult to install this. Try to move it up here. You can see they have a corner bracket here that came with the swivel mount. You can see how it's installed there with 4 bolts, and these are attached. This has 1 bolt into a profile into a T-nut, and then aligned up. And then this bolt has the nut at the bottom, and then the bolt just falls all the way through and screws into this nut. It's not really difficult. It is kind of a pain once you get it in here and trying to slide this back in. But you just finagle it a little bit, it'll go in. But this is it. This is the swivel keyboard tray. Again, not much to it. Pretty simple to install, and it works out pretty good. I'm happy with it. I really like it. You can see how it looks here. Well, of course, I have a button box, but so yeah, that's the swivel keyboard tray. Again, it's not really difficult to install. There's just a couple profile pieces. You'll need some 16mm bolts, some T-nuts, and you'll be good to go. All the hardware is included with the swivel mount that you'll need to connect it. And then you can decide, do you want to connect it on the left side or the right side, and how low or high you want it. You can see that I had to get mine under the keyboard tray, so it just fits right here under the button box. So I can slide the keyboard in and out without hitting the button box. But that's the keyboard tray. Okay, so the one piece I haven't showed you is the front the direct drive front mount and how it connected. So I'm gonna show the side up here. It comes in 3 different pieces. So the first piece is this front bracket here. Of course, I have a dash put on it now, but it's just the front bracket. Then you have this small piece right here, and then you have this large piece. Now this large piece is what's going to get connected into the mount, into the arms. So you can see it's got 4 bolts. It's a little dark over here, but using 4 T-nuts, 4 bolts to go into the profile. And then what we have here are the corner brackets that'll connect the front mount drive to this little bracket here, and you'll use 2 corner brackets each, and then the 16mm bolts to go with it. And then here, this is I believe it's a 25 or a 40. I might have used a 40mm bolt that came extra in the the box, and then of course you have the T-handle. Now, the one thing I really want to stress on this one, with this handle here, now the instructions tell you that you should put the handle in this third slot over here. If you can see that third slot. If you do that, and I originally did that, but if you do that, then this T-handle will not turn. It hits the profile. So there's not enough room to put the T-handle in this slot and then be able to turn it. So you're going to want to put it in the second slot. You have some adjustability, as you can see. I have it angled almost all the way down. So at the wheel, I'm going to have to change this a little bit because when I put my NASCAR wheel on, it was way too high. So I have to do some compromise between my open wheel and my NASCAR wheel. But this is the biggest point here with the front drive mount, is making sure that this handle is in this first slot, because if you put it in this slot, it'll hit the profile. And as you can see, let's go down here, I'll put some light here. I have it all the way to the front that you can get. There's still not enough room to clear the profile here, so you're gonna definitely want to put it in that second slot. I'm going haywire with my video here, hold on. Let's get this video going again, light. But now the direct drive, the front mount is pretty heavy. Now the new instructions tell you to mount this piece onto the profile first, and then put this small piece here, and then put the quarter brackets and put the front mount on. Now that's the most current and recent updated instructions. The instructions that I went by said to build it all first, so I connected these two pieces first, then connected to this piece, and then connected it to the profile. Now the other issue was these pieces were just slightly smaller. They didn't stretch out. I was about a ½ inch short when I put these brackets between the two profiles and the other arm over there. So I was about a ½ inch short, but once I got 2 bolts into this guy and tightened them down pretty good, I was able to pull the other side over and put those bolts in. No, maybe not the best way to do that, but that was the only way to make it fit. I haven't had any issues. It fits, it's tight, it doesn't move, it doesn't sway, there's no flex at all in this. So it works. Just make sure your bolts are tight. You have a lot of flexibility here. As you can see, I have some profile left over here. You can move it up and down however height you want the wheel to be. And of course you have the angles that you can go up and down with the bracket. And you can see I have mine angled up some. I have it lower, and then I have it angled up a little bit. Kind of more like a GT driving style. You can see I have my open wheel on it. I have the Ascher F64 with the Z1 dash. Now, the motor is pretty heavy. It uses 4 bolts. I used 40mm bolts. Of course, I had to go through the Z1 dash screen, the Apex Racing dash, the mount, and then the wheel as well. So I needed a big long bolt. But let me see if I can get a picture back here. It's not much back here to see. You can see it's just a bolt. Uses a nut. Got that tightened down. I had my wife help me because this motor is really heavy. So I held the motor while she got the bolts and nuts in. And of course there's 4, so there's 2 on the bottom. Let me see if I can get up there. See, there's 2 on the bottom as well. This goes to the dash, but that's the front drive. It's not really too difficult, but that's it. The only caveat, like I said, is putting these little handle in here. You definitely want to put it in this first slot, because you won't be able to turn it if you put it in the third slot. It'll hit the profile and it won't go anywhere, so that won't work. But other than that, that's it. I also want to show, let's screw down here. You can see, take my headphones off. I have the Fanatec shifter mounted here. It's using the SimLab mount. So I mounted it underneath the profile with 2 T-nuts and bolts, and then this guy just mounted right on top of that mount. Let's see if I can get under here. You can see we used 4 bolts down here that came with the Fanatec shifter. And of course there's the mouse pad and the shifter arm. But that's it. This is on the direct drive mount, what it looks like. I think that really completes the build. I will do more of a review and more of a showcase on what I have installed with the wheel and the dash and the button boxes and everything. Of course I have the new PC built over here. We got the RGB, and I have all the RGB underneath as well, as you can see there. But that's it. That is the entire build. I will show you. I have this button box mount. Now this mount is not the button box from Trak Racer. This is the box from SimLab. I thought it'd be easier to use this way with the rig. As you can see, it's pretty simple. It's 2 bolts and the T-nuts into there, and the button box just mounts in the back of here. It moves in and out. I can put it where I want it. And then, of course, I have my rig moved out for the monitor so I can show you this video. But that's basically it. That's where we're at. That's the completed rig. Apologize for the mess. I'm still getting things situated here. There she is. This is the Trak Racer TR160, and it is done. This is the end of the build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it.
Alright guys, well we have finally come to the end of this build. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, I appreciate any feedback, comments, questions. I'll be happy to answer them. I am still new at making all these videos, so the YouTube channel is still kind of new, so hope you guys help support the channel. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate everyone hanging out and watching and sticking through it. I know it's kind of a long video, but there's a lot to go through in this. There's a lot of tedious small things in building this. It wasn't a difficult build, but it does take a while. So you got to spend maybe a couple days, 8 to 10 hours to build. So take your time, do it right the first time, and just go slow through the whole thing. You guys will get it built. But again, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys at the next video.